Today's all about a Zeraora guide. I'm going to talk over the 3 movesets I believe are good, and this is the video you need to watch if you're going to be using Zeraora in ranked. Play with a purpose, guys. Understand how to play this Pokemon well. There are a lot of things you can do right, but there are also a lot of things you can do wrong. So the first thing we're going to do is jump into the mechanics of the moves with this character. Firstly, emblem set. Honestly, emblems in my opinion aren't that big of a deal. 6 white, 6 brown. Focus on getting plus attack. You could go like a tank emblem set where you're focusing on getting, brown, white, a little bit of attack. Honestly, not a big deal. You can go with either one of them. Battle items. This I'm not 100% sold on. At the moment, I'm using Shinichiro. I can't see a case for Goal Getter. You might consider Full Heal. Maybe Slow Smoke, but I just don't think it's the item. You could even consider Potion, although I think late game Potion is not the one, and late game, that's what everything's about. You could consider an eject button to further dive the backline. Similar, reasoning with an X speed, or also an X attack, right? Because it's going to increase his basic attack speed, and I'll talk about why in a minute. So honestly, the battle item it's actually pretty flexible on this Pokemon, and I think it depends on playstyle. At the moment, I'm going Shinichiro because I value being alive, and I like using that Shinichiro when my skills have got maybe 2 seconds cooldown, I'm caught in a bad spot, and I can use it to get out and stay alive rather than delay the inevitable. Now, the held items. I think Focus Band is a fantastic item on Zeraora. I think the weakness policy scales really well with his passive, and I also think Energy Amplifier is an option that you can consider, right? You could also maybe other good items like Muscle Band to give you some attack speed. I think Float Stone is maybe an option because you want to have some increased speed when you're using this Pokemon, as well as getting that attack stat. I think an Aeos Cookie is definitely an option as well, same as an attack weight. Although I am tending to steer away from stacking on this Pokemon because you generally want to prioritize farm and just pick off kills. You don't need the attack weight or the Aeos Cookie to get online, so I think don't sacrifice an item so that you have to get the scores in, so you can focus on the macro of the game without feeling the pressure of getting the score. But anyway, EXP share, probably not. Assault Vest, probably not. Razor Claw is definitely an option as well. Razor Claw is probably a pretty good item. Rapid Fire Scarf is an option. I probably wouldn't go Drain Crown, and the rest of them are tank or special attack items. So at the moment, again, the held items, a little bit of flexibility. I like this Energy Amp because when you use that UniteMove, you are a ticking bomb. You just go off, you deal a ridiculous amount of damage. You get in there with those skills, you're untargetable, or untouchable, especially with Spark and the WildCharge, and you just absolutely rip damage. You absolutely rip damage. So big fan of Energy Amp at the moment. Now the moveset, there are 3 movesets that I think are good. You can go VoltSwitch and Discharge, you can go Spark and Discharge, or you can go Spark and WildCharge. I would not go VoltSwitch and WildCharge. I think that's probably a little bit of a silly idea. We'll talk over his early skills. Agility is a dash. It does no damage. See, it did 0 damage, right? But what's it done? It is going to increase my attack speed. So you can see it's a little bit slow-ish there. Agility through, and it picks up, right? It ramps up there. So that's all agility does. It's a bit of mobility, and it helps you get some attack speed happening. Now, Slash is you kind of lock onto a target, you dive towards them, and you hit them 3 times, and on the 3rd time you knock them up, right? So it's pretty good dive if you want to, play aggressively. You go in with the agility, and you can see how much range you've got there with the Slash and the agility combo. Early game, you want to just look to secure some farm, and if the enemy push deep, you can do a lot of damage to them, particularly if you manage to get yourself the red buff if you are in the jungle. Volt Switch is a skill, and think of this as an upgraded agility, right? See how it replaces agility? So you can dash in. Notice it does damage this time. It doesn't do a whole lot. Okay, I'm going to turn cooldowns off here for a moment. So you can go in, and you've got that increased attack speed, right? The attack speed goes up, and then when you use Discharge, you see there's a kind of like a timer. You can see this little AoE there. You can dash back to it, right? So you can go in. That's really dumb. You can go in, you can get deep, you can do a whole bunch of damage, and then you can escape, right? So Volt Switch is a really cool move. Now Volt Switch, you generally use this with Discharge, right? And the reason is Discharge creates like an AoE damage around you. So the benefit of Discharge, right, is you can use other skills and you can use your autos while that move is going off. So it's really important with Discharge is you get in and amongst the action and then you can dash out to play it safe. Right? Now with Discharge, if the enemy is paralyzed on the final tick of damage, and the enemy will be paralyzed if you do some basic attacking to them, I go in, I do some basics, and it draws the farm towards me. Right? So I can go in, I do some damage here, and then bang, it draws them all towards me. So long as I do some basics, right? That's the main thing. They've got to be paralyzed. See if I just Discharge, and they won't get drawn in towards me. Okay, moveset number 2, in my opinion, would be Spark and Discharge, right? So with Spark here, you can see you store 3 in reserve, and it's like a dash. And when you're doing this, you've got frames of Unstoppable, right? So you can kind of think of it similar to like the Zeraora illusion, where you go unstoppable for 1/5 of a second, which is really, really cool, right? Now, you've got like 4 seconds to use the follow-up one, so it's pretty good escape. But what I like about this is you can just do some quick dash to get towards the enemy. Okay, so you can go, and go, and go, right? You've got some pretty good mobility with that skill. Now, with Spark, it enhances your next auto the next time you use it. So you can Spark, and then you see how you dash to them, right? You Spark and then you dash, right? You Spark and you dash, right? That next auto attack is going to be doing quite a bit of damage, right? It leaps towards them, and it does a pretty chunky amount of damage. But the cool part about Spark, and this is why I'm a big fan of Spark, is when you get it plus, you will restore 15% of the HP that you do to that enemy. So you can Spark and hit them, and that hit with the auto is like fantastic lifesteal, especially if you're hitting a group, right? So you can Spark, and then, but you've got to make sure that you're fairly close to them, right? You're within an AoE that you can dash back towards them. Now the reason I like this with Discharge is you can hunt someone down, right? Because you can Discharge and you can just go deep and you can launch onto them. You can Discharge and auto them, Discharge, auto them. So you're constantly locked onto them, and you're getting the lifesteal with the Spark, enhanced auto. And as well as that, you've got frames of Unstoppable, which if you do 3 of them correctly, that's about, honestly, half a second throughout like a 2-second period of when you're using Discharge. So you are going to be able to win fights you have absolutely no business winning, especially when you're low on health, because you're going to have an enhanced attack stat. You can go on with Discharge, and you're just doing constant AoE damage to them while you're healing up with some lifesteal, and you're unstoppable. So they and beyond unstoppable, you're also untargetable in those frames, right, when you are dashing back towards an enemy. So Spark is a really, honestly, I think it's a really good move. Now the final moveset I want to talk over is the Spark and the WildCharge. Now generally people think of Spark and WildCharge as, you go Spark, WildCharge, or you go Discharge and a VoltSwitch, which I don't necessarily agree with. I actually think Spark and Discharge is a really solid moveset. Now I'll explain how these work. You Spark, and you've got to be able to hit something, right? So you can go in with Spark and attack, Spark and attack. You can see in the bottom right corner, you've got like a counter, right? That counter, what it will do is, see if I hit a WildCharge on an enemy, and I only hit them 3 times, right? I'll go in, 1, 2, 3 times. Go in, 1, 2, 3 times, right? 1, 2, 3 times. You'll see people, they seem to hit you like 1,000 times. The way they're doing that is they go Spark, boot, and like a boosted, and then Spark and the boosted, or you can do some charging up there, and you'll notice you get 3. So now I get an extra 3 slashes through, right? I can charge that up to 3, and then I go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slashes through. Now, this scales really well with the attack weight. So if you're going to go the WildCharge set, I would honestly really consider using an attack weight. Now, this is a skill shot. If you miss them, you miss them, right? It doesn't auto lock onto them. You can go in and you can miss, and it does nothing. So you can do the work to get it all sorted, but then if you miss, you don't get any value, and it's actually got quite a big cooldown, right? So I'll show that there. So I go in, I can store some up there, right? And then if I miss, it's on like an 8-second cooldown, which is a really big cooldown. I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, WildCharge Plus at level 13 is honestly really good. Now the reason why I steer away from WildCharge is that it's single target, right? If you're in a group of people, it's only going to be single target. But late game at level 13, what this will do is, and I'll try and find a group of bees here. WildCharge is normally single target. Okay, WildCharge is a single target move. Okay, when you're level 13, that WildCharge will hit everyone around. See how it's hitting more people rather than just single target? This is where WildCharge can become incredibly valuable, because late game, when the enemy have got a lot of people, especially in an AoE, that WildCharge, instead of just hitting the one person, it will be hitting many of the people. The last thing I want to talk over is this UniteMove. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. You've got to be careful because you can actually hit the farm with this, right? So you got to make sure you lock it on. You can aim it and it locks onto something and it does a massive amount of damage. It blows them up. And then after you use that UniteMove, you get increased speed, you get increased attack speed, you get cooldown reduction, and you see you also get a shield, right? So you can go in and you just absolutely blow up the enemy. And you can also do quite a bit of work to an objective as well. So really, really cool Pokemon. Let's see how this works out in a ranked lobby. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with the boosted auto with Zeraora, it's very similar to Umbreon that you'll heal 10% of your missing HP, which is really nice. So this works really nicely with Spark as well. Anyway, this game I'm going over the VoltSwitch and the Discharge moveset. Generally, this is probably the most famous moveset. This is probably the most common one, and it's definitely the easiest to use, right? Because you can just dash in and you can dash out. Now, in this particular game, I am jungling with Zeraora, and I think Zeraora is a fantastic jungler because you don't have to stack. You can get that UniteMove at level 9. He utilizes the buffs really well, the red one, because you want to keep them in your AoE, and also the blue buff as well. And so you can see the value of the Shinichiro here. I'm buying myself some time so I can get my skills back on cooldown, rather than delaying the inevitable. So please don't think to use the Shinichiro just to delay, I'm going to waste 2 seconds, but I'm going to die anyway. That's really not going to give you a whole lot of value. Now, if you're getting something out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give me a like, and if you're not subscribed, consider being a subscriber, because I'm going to be giving you guys a whole lot more of this free content on YouTube to try and help you and the community improve and play Pokemon Unite a little better. So with Zeraora, this Pokemon gets a crazy amount of value early. Getting his skills at 5-7 instead of previously it was 6-8 is just absolutely amazing. Getting that UniteMove at level 9 as well rather than level 10 means you can go to objectives with that UniteMove, so he's definitely a viable jungler. You can see VoltSwitch and Discharge work really well hand in hand. You can go in with that AoE, you do a lot of basic attacks. Now, as we know, the basic attack will give you some stored, some life steal, alright, just because of the functioning of the basic attack, and you get the increased attack speed with the VoltSwitch, right? So really, really good there. And this Pokemon does really well with ripping the objective, and he just works really well with supporters as well. You can use a Hooper, you can use an Eldegoss, you could probably use a Blissey as well to follow up. Probably the worst one is Clefable. And you even get a lot of value knowing where the enemy is with some tank vision. So overall, this Pokemon's a really good fit to the team. I've always said Zeraora is a great Pokemon. He just needs a little bit of reworking. And now's the time, right? Today is the day that we're going to go through and we're going to get some value out of learning to use Zeraora. I hope that you played the game early enough so you can unlock this Pokemon. And I really hope the Pokemon Unite make a way for Zeraora to become available to other people. I'm sure we'll hear an update from that soon. So again, remember, I am in the jungle. I've got an experience lead. I'm not going to do anything that's going to make me die. I'm looking to get value, right? So we get the overcap there. I don't care about the Regieleki. If I put 70 score in, 70 score, man, you gotta be happy with that, right? And then again, here's Shinichiro, right? I use it because my skills are on cooldown. Then I'm able to come out, use all my skills, use that UniteMove and get a lot of value. Now obviously I'm looking a lot better than I probably am in this game because I've got a Eldegoss that is pocketing me with shields and with healing. But it can just show you how truly strong Zeraora can be. Now we know the drill here, right? When we've got a Regieleki, they've got the jump pad now. We're not walking it in. We've got a lead. We don't need to give them any catch-up experience, right? You look where the value is. We go through their farm. They've got none. That's fine. I can see there's 3 top. Let's go for a score bottom. and then we're going to try and rotate and get back to some farm, right? Our Umbreon's a little late there, but that's fine. He's able to get his 40 score in, and then we take bottom Bs, right? So when you're playing and you're ahead, you want to maintain your lead. You're not doing anything that's going to give the enemy any catch-up experience, right? There's no point fighting a fight that you're not going to win just for some flex damage, okay? So that's the value of having that VoltSwitch and that Shinichiro. It's going to keep you alive, right? It's going to give you a lot of saving grace. Now, let's talk about this Ray fight. You're an assassin. That is your role. You're not looking to dive in and, take on some of the big attackers. You're looking to take out the Pokemon on the enemy team that can do a lot of rip damage or can do a lot of burst damage to your tanks. So generally, for me, that's looking for this Greninja or looking for the Azumarill, right? Those are the Pokemon I'm looking to get, or even the Venusaur, right? Now again, you've got your safety first. I go in with my skills. I'm in a bit of trouble, so I Shinichiro, so I'm able to keep myself nice and healthy, while my skills can go on cooldown, right? I can get them ready again. So I'm just sticking with my team here. Obviously, their team's in a lot of trouble because some of them have died, and there's one left, so I'm kind of calling to my team, hey guys, let's rip this objective, or let's at least put some pressure on, because there's really not much the Greninja can do, because I'm able to Volt Switch through the wall there, right? And so I keep some vision on him, even if he smoke screens there, I'm making sure there's AoE damage to catch him out, and in the meantime, our team is able to eventually do some damage and secure the Rayquaza there. So a little bit of a sticky end game. But overall, we're able to get the win because we won the game early and went to the Rayquaza with an experienced lead. This Pokemon can do a lot of damage. You can keep yourself nice and safe with that Shinichiro. However, like I said at the start of the video, these builds are genuinely pretty flexible. So have some testing, have some fun, but make sure you play this Pokemon with a good understanding of how the skills work. Good luck climbing in the new season, guys, and have fun with it. This patch is amazing, so hopefully everyone's enjoying it. Have a good day.